Okay, well, welcome back. So if you're looking at your coloring sheet that we're just working on with the brittle stars, then you will see on the bottom right-hand corner there's a feather star. And the feather star are in the class that includes all the crinoids. So what's true about these guys is that they have 5 or more arms that branch out for suspension feeding. So they're basically got those arms out there, and when food particles go by, they grab those food particles, and using their tube feet, they're going to move those food particles down towards their mouth. These mostly live in deep water, but you can also find them in the intertidal zone. You know, they're drifting around in the intertidal zone. They're very commonly found on coral reefs and in the tropics. So if you take a look at your drawing there on your coloring sheet, then what you're seeing is like a sea lily. And if you look at the sea lily and you look at the penta body part of it that's down by the rock surface, then you will see the cirri. And the cirri are what are going to allow for them to attach onto the substrate. But they can also let go and then drift and grab again. And remember, we're looking at animals here. So some make a mucus net that will aid them in food capture, as you could imagine if you set out some mucus there and then pulled the mucus in. Anything that's in the water would get caught in the mucus, and that would aid in your food capturing. So those are the feather stars. And here's a beautiful picture of a sea lily here. And again, you can see that, you know, here are the cirri right here that are allowing for them to be attached to that substrate. And then here, their tube feet are out here, and they are collecting food particles as those food particles drift through the water. Beautiful group of echinoderms. Okay, so our next coloring sheet is of the sea urchins, and then it has the sand dollars in there as well, and then our sea cucumber as well. So, but right now for the sea urchins, looking up at the top, at the right hand drawing, at the top right side, they sea urchins as well as sand dollars. They're very conspicuous. They have movable spines. So, you know, as a form of protection, those spines are really short in sand dollars, and usually by the time we collect the sand dollars, those spines have been, you know, broken off. And so these those little sand dollars can become prey to the sea stars, believe it or not. So they have rigid plates. So this is what's really different, is that you're not going to see this, you know, movement of arms or anything. They actually have those 5 arms, but the 5 arms are now come up, and they're formed into fused rigid plates, and those are called a test. So their body part is basically a solid test. They move with tube feet, so tube feet are still present here. Excuse me. Their mouth, excuse me. Their mouth is on the bottom, just as what we've been seeing so far. So it's still down on that oral surface, and then their anus is up on top so that they can get rid of the waste material. They have sea urchins. When you're looking at sea urchins, they have really strong jaws, and their jaws have muscles, and that whole mouth part is called the Aristotle lantern, and they feed on seaweed, detritus. So detritus is just broken down material, dead, breaking down material. and encrusted organisms, that anything that they can scrape off the surface of the rocks. And I think I've got a diagram here. So here's the diagram. Here's their mouth parts right here. So they have 5 plates that make up their teeth. This whole unit right here is called an Aristotle's lantern. And you can see it's a pretty basic, pretty simple, basic plan here. They've got 2 feet that allow for them to move about, and those 2 feet run up the side of the urchin. They've got the spines. Material is coming in through the mouth and going through this extensive digestive system, which includes their intestines and their esophagus, and then the waste products come out the anus. And remember that they too have 2 feet, and that 2 feet is controlled by water pressure, and the water coming in into the organism is through the madreporite. Okay, so the same is true for sand dollars. They just look really different, is all. But same idea of going on. Their madreporite and their anus is up on the top surface. But you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plates. So we still have that pentaradial symmetry that is taking place. Okay, so the sea cucumber, our last of this little group here are the sea cucumbers. They're worm-likes, but they're not worms, so they're not within that same category that we looked at when we were looking at worms. These have a mouth and an anus that are located on opposite ends. They have 5 rows of 2 feet, but they're all restricted to one side, so that's going to be on their bottom surface. They have radial symmetry, even if it's superficially appearing to have bilateral symmetry. Their skin is soft, but it is embedded with calcareous spicules. They have no spines, so there's no protective mechanism on them in the what you see with the sea urchins. There's no spines for protection. These guys are pretty cool because if they're under pressure or somebody's coming to feed on them, they can undergo a process called evisceration. And what evisceration does is it allows for them to just basically throw up all of their internal organs. And then, that kind of like freaks their predator out. And then they don't die from that. They actually grow those back. So they are deposit feeders, meaning that what they're basically doing, what sea cucumbers do, is they ingest sand material, and they're just like sand filters. And they're eating the sand and any of the material that's embedded in the sand, like small organisms, or if there's algae growing on the sand, they're just taking all of that organic matter out, and then using that, digesting that, and then they eventually excrete the sand particles. So they're filtering the sand. And I think in your video, I put in a video for you to take a look at, and I think in the video they say that all of the sand that's present on the earth has gone through at least one sea cucumber. That's amazing. Kind of creepy to think about, but absolutely amazing as well. So here's a really pretty one. They're very common. They're cool to find. Anyway, that's for today. I think that will kind of sum up what we're doing today. If you wouldn't mind just, doing your color sheets, learning your structures, read the textbook. So it's just a short section on echinoderms in the textbook. Read through that, read through those instruction sheets, because I think those instruction sheets are really helpful in describing the body parts and describing the function of them. And then you get a more broad, bigger picture when you read the textbook on the echinoderms. But hopefully that will get you started, get you, going with something. Again, hang on to all of this paperwork, all of the coloring sheets that you're completing, because again, I don't know what's going to happen as far as the semester goes, and it might be very possible that you will be able to turn these sheets in and I'll be able to give you credit. And so let's just play it as though we think that's going to be the rules, because I really don't know. I don't know anything more than what you guys know. So anyway, I hope you continue to stay healthy. I think the next few days and the next few weeks are going to be really telling for what this coronavirus is going to do and all of that. So please stay healthy, stay inside. Well, stay isolated, I suppose. If you can get outside and get a walk in and all that kind of stuff, of course, that's really good too. But reach out to me if you're having any issues, and yeah, I look forward to hopefully getting to see you sometime in the near future. So I will talk to you later and have more for you. I'll post more for you all soon. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.